Before I hand it over to Keith, you all probably know who AIA is, but they are one of the largest insurers in Asia with over 100 years of experience. So if you can imagine, that's probably a lot of data centers. So you're next going to hear from Keith, who is the head of the Cloud Center of Excellence. And what I think is so phenomenal about this journey is it is one of the most accelerated transformations I've ever heard of. So it really blew me away when Keith was explaining it too. So Keith, why don't you dive a little deeper into this?
Sure, thanks, Ashley. I appreciate the time. So yeah, it's really exciting to be part of the foundation, right? And I think one of the founding members of the enterprise program this year. So it's really cool to be part of the startup journey there, really. And for me, one of the most or best interactions so far with the group has been a kind of one-on-one chat with Alison McIntyre from Lloyds Bank, and we talked about better forecasting and the work she's doing in some of the working groups with the foundation, and it was really insightful to see that and really helped us on our journey in AIA. So it's really cool to get access to those kinds of people. But JR, if we jump into the introduction and just a little bit about AIA, right? Because I think a lot of people probably don't know outside of Asia who AIA is, even down to Australia, even though we operate in Australia, but probably not a very well-known brand. And really, for us, we're a people-based insurance organisation, and by that I mean we don't insure things, right? We insure people. So we offer health and life and well-being services and products and services. So really focused on people, and we're also 100% focused on Asia across 18 markets, 38 million individual policies, and by doing that, we're helping people, millions of people, really live healthier, longer, better lives. Next one, please, JL. So as part of our cloud program, we only started in 2019. We're quite young in cloud, really, when you think about it, when you think about the journey that we've been on so far. And really, we've achieved some amazing results, right? As kind of Ashley alluded to, at the end of 2021, we surpassed 70% in cloud, which is quite phenomenal considering we only started in 2019. And that's really well ahead of the benchmark of 24% that we're seeing in other insurance-based organizations. It's led to a number of benefits, not only helping a group provide a more available infrastructure, but also enable innovation across the environment. So this innovation journey really focuses on our customer stories and how we better provide service to them when they most need it. Our customers rely on products and services in the hardest times of their lives, whether it's during times of illness or other hardship. It's really when customers need ready access to services for claims or other information. With more than half of the customer claims processed via straight-through processing at the end of 2021, we really enabled that customer-focused journey and that promise to customers more than ever before. And really, that's thanks to cloud. We started programs in cloud that just would not have been possible on-prem. The lead times for certain projects and things like that on-prem, were 12, 18 months, for example. In cloud, we're reducing those to less than 3 months, for example. And as you can see through some of the stats, we're supporting massive business processing and amazing service availability.
So Keith, what was some of your initial drivers to move to the cloud? What kind of kicked that off? Because you did a really quick migration.
Yeah, sure. So absolutely, it was a couple of things really, and JR touched on probably lots and lots of data centers and lots of legacy infrastructure out there. That was definitely one point. We were coming to the end of some major data center contracts, etc., and we needed to wrap those up. And it was seen to really move towards digitalization and other initiatives. That on-prem infrastructure really wasn't going to cut it for us moving forward. So really the decision was made to move to cloud to provide that innovation. We looked at across a couple of different clouds, but really at the moment for most of Asia, we're focused on Azure, with some AIA cloud being used in mainland China for regulatory reasons there. But really focused on a single cloud vendor to start with to make sure that we didn't spread ourselves thin, right? So that was the main reason was the data center closures, but also innovation, right? So they were really closely tied together. Another one was cost considerations, right? As we moved into larger innovation projects, the lead times and costs to deploy large sets of infrastructure to do innovation programs was seen as just not viable on-prem, right, from a commercial standpoint. So really we use the benefits of cloud there to enable that innovation strategy.
That's amazing. So it sounds like there's a combination of speed, innovation. There was the cost driver, so you didn't have to go procure or lease more data centers as well. I mean, that 99.99 is pretty impressive. We probably could have made that even a little bit bigger font there. So congratulations on that. What was the transition like for your staff or like the team, the engineers that were doing this work?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, credit to all the business units out there, really. I mean, you know, group set the vision and the strategy and the standards and frameworks, etc. But really it's down to the hard work of the business units in the individual markets. And you can see some of those stats on the right-hand side. Some, you know, great work being done by them. And I think, you know, it's really a testament to business units like Singapore, for example, who really grabbed that at the start and ran with it. And you'll see many white papers out there from the Singapore business unit with Microsoft Azure on some of the fantastic innovation they've done. So it depends. It's market to market, absolutely. But you know, every market has really jumped on this journey with us and pushed forward, which is great. The technical teams and the staff are more than excited to move into new technologies, right? I think all technical people always want to play with the latest and greatest things. So, you know, moving them to cloud was not too much of an effort, really. I think everyone jumped on it. Everyone was excited to do it. Did we need other specialist resources to support, etc.? Of course we did, right? And that's why we set up the CCUE in 2019 to assist the business units with that specialist engineering resources as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. If we could just jump ahead to the next slide, I think these are some other good stats to put up and where you're at right now in your journey.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose, you know, one could say we're a little bit late to the FinOps party, you know, just starting this year, you know, with a cloud program kicking off in 2019. But as you guys tell us, right, it's better late than never. You know, we should get started at some point in time, but, you know, the important thing is that we do start. You know, we're well over 80% in public cloud now. I can't give you the real figure. The end of year results announcements and things like that are being formulated at the moment, so they'll come out in Q1 next year. But we're well on our way to that 90% target that we envisaged in 2019. So it's a great story. The remaining 10% on-prem is really, you know, focused on those legacy applications that are not really suited to public cloud today, right? But maybe in the future, you know, things like AS400s, etc. You know, which I don't think anybody's willing to put their fingers into yet for cloud. So we'll see what happens with those over the next, you know, 5 years or so. And you know, always looking to modernize other applications as well. Of course, you know, the migration effort that AIA has gone through has involved a lot of lift and shift. You know, there's no denying that. But business units are now starting to modernize as they are in public cloud. So while the push was there to get it to public cloud, now it's about, you know, realizing all the benefits of public cloud, and not just the you know, the lift and shift and availability of the infrastructure as a service, but moving towards those PaaS services and getting further agility.
Hey, Keith, for you as well. Like,
yes, go ahead, Joe.
You mentioned, like, you know, it's an ongoing process and you know, still learning, evolving, growing. How early did you actually, or what was the driver for you starting like the FinOps practice? I mean, was it something that was planned in the beginning, or did it come in because of cost overruns, or what was the catalyst?
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question, right? I think for us, you know, the main driver for FinOps was around, as we worked through the TDA program, the Technology Data and Analytics program driven by Group. It was around, okay, now we need to start measuring the benefits of cloud. Okay, and how do we do that? So FinOps was just one part of that, right? So we're looking at how we're doing our customer straight through processing, how we're managing our infrastructure, and making sure that we're, you know, managing that infrastructure and that spend effectively, and also the governance layer, right? So there's always that question from regulated industries like ours is, you know, where's the governance and control? So it was twofold. It was about looking at the cost and benefits, but also the governance and controls of what we're running in AIA.
It was one of the interesting things from the last state of FinOps data. We found that the regulated industries, insurance and financial services, are the highest adoption of FinOps practices globally are in those. So I guess no surprise for that reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have to show, right, to our regulators, to our auditors, etc., that we do have robust processes and things to operate cloud, right? And now it's not just about the technical operations of cloud anymore. Definitely there is that financial governance that's coming into it as well, and the questions being asked. So yeah, having FinOps aligned, processes, etc., helps answer those questions.
I think we're super excited a year from now to see your journey map and all the big milestones. So we'll be staying close to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that, I think we've reached our go live target already. The year's not finished. We reached our go live targets in only a quarter of operating FinOps in AIA, which was fantastic. So we met those initial kind of go live targets and KPIs, which was awesome. And yeah, we're really looking forward to 2023, right? I think it's going to be a great story, not only for AIA, but also for the foundation and FinOps in Asia, right? So I think we can really be out there and leading the way, as we have done with our public cloud migration.
So I'll ask you a question. I was like sort of the hard one, but what are you looking at 23? Great plans, but what are you still struggling with, right? And what are you hoping to have like figured out? Come back in a year, like what will you hope to have solved by then that you're not there yet on?
Yeah, so I think we have similar challenges to others, right? I don't think we're any different. The challenges around forecasting is a big one, budget forecasting, etc. in cloud is, hence the conversation with Alison from Lloyd's, right, was really insightful. Shared costs, always a big one, right? Especially at a group level. We run many shared services for our business units, of course. So understanding how we allocate those fairly and accurately is always a consideration. And then for the business units themselves, right? Understanding, cost center identification, etc., through tagging and other policies and things is probably the main ones, right? Making sure that we have, I saw a question in the chat around tagging hygiene. And it is tough, right? Tagging hygiene is probably one of the biggest hurdles that you need to come across. And we knew that FinOps was coming for us. We had very good standards early on from a tagging naming standards. The implementation of such was not so great though. So we had to go back and we had to revisit that and say, okay, well, how do we fix that, right? And how do we make sure that all new workloads coming onto the platform are tagged appropriately, and then how do we go back and clean up what is already there? So there was massive effort in terms of that before we even brought on a FinOps tool, for example. So yeah, there's definitely lots of challenges, right? But I don't think any different from what we see from other organizations.
I'm always amazed at how complicated getting the tagging right is, the tagging hygiene, and just how much folks undervalue the effort that's going to go into that, because it's sort of like at the Maslow's hierarchy at the bottom of all the other efforts. Like we want to get an optimization, we want to forecast, but we can't because our tagging data is broken. And yeah, forecasting just seems to be a constant struggle as well. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's key to everything. Without that, really, everything just becomes so much harder.
Yeah, predictability seems to be even more important necessarily than savings for a lot of folks.
Yeah, that's it for sure.
JR here from the FinOps Foundation. Thank you for watching. Please go to FinOps.org if you want to get plugged into this amazing community. And of course, hit subscribe right here on YouTube to get all the future content. Hope to see you soon.